Vinny Junior's got some space, and that's all he needed.
The first 90 minutes almost fooled the world.
The first 90 minutes almost fooled the entire world, a frustrating 1-1 draw against Morocco. Millions of Brazilian fans walked out of MetLife Stadium with that same sick feeling in their gut. Maybe this team wasn't ready. Maybe the old scars from past World Cups never actually healed. Maybe this just wasn't the Brazil that could lift football's greatest trophy. For a nation that only measures success in championships, one single point felt like a flashing warning sign. Social media went up in flames instantly. The criticism hit hard and fast. Questions about the midfield, questions about the attack, questions about Carlo Ancelotti himself. Could the legendary Italian really flip a national team in just a few weeks? But here's the thing about Ancelotti. The greatest managers never panic. They watch, they adjust, then they change everything. Because Carlo Ancelotti has spent over 3 decades proving one simple truth. Football isn't won through stubbornness. It's won by understanding people. This is the man who conquered Europe 5 separate times, the only manager in football history to win league titles in Italy, England, France, Germany, and Spain. Over 30 major trophies to his name. A man who's walked into locker rooms stacked with Ballon d'Or winners and global superstars and somehow got every single one fighting for each other. Not by yelling louder, not by ruling through fear, but because he understands something almost no manager ever truly masters. Every player is different. Every team has its own personality, and tactics should serve the players, never the other way around. That's exactly what separates the great coaches from the immortal ones. After the Morocco draw, Ancelotti didn't point fingers at anybody. No public call-outs, no excuses. He just quietly went back to work. Hours of film study, hours of tactical meetings, hours of digging into what wasn't clicking. And the answer became obvious. Brazil weren't playing like Brazil. The 4-2-3-1 setup had left the midfield disconnected. Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes were splitting defensive duties instead of running the show. The front line looked isolated, the movement predictable. Brazil had talent everywhere, but zero balance. So Ancelotti made the biggest call of the entire tournament. He scrapped the original system completely. Out went the 4-2-3-1. In came the legendary 4-3-3. One simple tactical switch that completely rewired the Seleção's whole identity. Casemiro became the lone defensive shield. Suddenly, Bruno Guimaraes had room to breathe, and Lucas Paquetá could attack open space. The midfield finally came alive again. But Ancelotti wasn't done yet. He made another move that caught nearly everybody off guard. Igor Thiago out, Matheus Cunha in. For most of the 2025-26 club season, Cunha wasn't even playing as a traditional number 9. Coaches like Amorim and Michael Carrick kept dropping him into deeper roles, drifting between midfield and attack. But Ancelotti saw something completely different in him. He saw raw instinct, chaos, a striker who doesn't wait around for the game to come to him. He attacks it. Sometimes football isn't about picking the better player, it's about picking the right one, and Ancelotti nailed it. The result? Instant. Brazil walked into Philadelphia looking like an entirely different team. Not just tactically, but mentally. There was confidence in every pass, purpose in every run, energy even without the ball. Even before the first goal hit the net, Brazil already looked sharper. Rafinha thought he'd broken the deadlock after Bruno Guimaraes carved open Haiti's defense with a gorgeous scooped pass. The offside flag denied him, but only for a minute because this Brazil wasn't backing down. Midway through the first half, Vinicius Jr. tore down the left wing. His blistering shot forced Jonati Placide into a desperate save, and the ball spilled loose. Matheus Cunha reacted faster than anyone. One touch, one finish, one goal. That's exactly the kind of striker's instinct Brazil had been missing, and then he did it again. Vinicius threaded another perfectly weighted ball behind Haiti's back line. Cunha exploded into the gap. One glance at the keeper, one unstoppable strike into the roof of the net. 2-0, game over. In just 45 minutes, Ancelotti's biggest gamble had turned into his greatest masterstroke. Then came the moment that truly announced Brazil's rebirth. Vinicius Jr., the man who's carried Real Madrid through countless Champions League nights, finally looked free in a Brazil shirt. Sprinting behind Haiti's defense, he calmly slotted home Brazil's third goal before the half even ended. No panic, no hesitation, just pure confidence. Exactly the confidence Brazilian fans had been begging to see for years. The second half wasn't about chasing more goals, it was about total control. Casemiro shut down the back line with vintage authority. Gabriel dominated every header. Marquinhos organized every single defensive shift. Alisson came up with another world-class save right when Brazil needed it most. Endrick even thought he'd grabbed a fourth, only for the offside flag to wave it off. But none of that mattered. Brazil had found themselves again. A 3-0 win, their first clean sheet, their most convincing performance yet. Most importantly, proof that Ancelotti's vision was already taking shape. Then came Scotland, a totally different test. Another team fighting just to survive. Another chance for Brazil to prove Haiti wasn't a one-off fluke. 7 minutes, that's all it took. A sloppy Scottish pass, Rayon pounced on it instantly. The young star released Vinicius Jr. in a flash, one touch around the keeper, empty net. 1-0. Simple, clinical, ruthless. Brazil never looked back from there. Every attack had purpose. Every transition looked rehearsed 100 times. Every player knew exactly where to be. Just before halftime, Bruno Guimaraes floated a beautiful cross to the far post, and waiting there, Vinicius, another perfect finish. His second goal of the night, his fourth of the tournament. The criticism that used to follow him around with Brazil had completely vanished. Scotland tried to fight back after the break. Scott McTominay finally tested Alisson, but Brazil's keeper calmly reminded the world why he's considered one of the best on the planet. Then Brazil struck again. Matheus Cunha collected the ball, rounded Angus Gunn, and finished without breaking a sweat. 3 goals, 3 World Cup matches, 3 goals in just 2 starts. The gamble had turned into one of the tournament's biggest success stories. By the time Neymar stepped onto the pitch for his first international appearance in 3 years, the result was already locked up. Brazil had won 3-0 again. 2 straight wins, 6 goals scored, 0 conceded, group winners. But maybe the biggest win wasn't even on the scoreboard. It was in the identity. For the first time in years, Brazil didn't look like 11 talented individuals. They looked like one complete team, and that's exactly what's making the rest of the world nervous. Because when Brazilian talent meets Ancelotti's tactical brilliance, history shows almost nobody survives. And if Ancelotti deserves credit for rebuilding Brazil, the players deserve credit for bringing that vision to life. And no one represents this transformation better than Vinicius Jr. For years, Vinicius lived inside a strange contradiction. At club level, he was unstoppable. Night after night, he tore apart Europe's best defenders, won Champions Leagues, won La Liga titles, decided the biggest matches for Real Madrid. But every time he put on that famous yellow shirt, something felt off. The freedom vanished, the confidence faded. The player who terrified Europe suddenly looked like he was dragging an entire nation's weight on his back. Brazilian fans kept asking the same question over and over: why can't we see the Real Madrid version of Vinicius? Now the answer seems obvious. He just needed the manager who understood him better than anybody else. Nobody knows Vinicius like Ancelotti does. Across 4 unforgettable years in Madrid, Ancelotti never tried changing him. He unlocked him. He never demanded Vinicius become someone else. He simply put him in spots where his instincts could take over. Stay wide, attack defenders, run into space, trust your speed, trust your creativity, trust yourself. Now Brazil are doing the exact same thing, and the difference has been jaw-dropping. Against Morocco, he rescued Brazil with a brilliant equalizer. Against Haiti, he bagged a goal and an assist while terrorizing defenders from the opening whistle. Against Scotland, he scored twice. 4 goals, 1 assist, 3 matches, but the numbers don't even tell the full story. This is the first time in years Brazil's whole attack genuinely revolves around Vinicius. Not because he's selfish, not because every ball runs through him, but because every teammate knows exactly how dangerous he gets when isolated against a single defender. Every run he makes creates space. Every dribble sparks panic. Every burst of speed reshapes the entire opposing defense. He's not just Brazil's best attacker anymore. He's becoming the heartbeat of this whole World Cup run. And maybe the biggest shift isn't even tactical, it's psychological. After beating Haiti, Vinicius said, "I'm at my best, physically, technically, and mentally." Those aren't just empty words, you can actually see it. The hesitation is gone, the smile is back. He no longer looks like a guy trying to prove himself. He looks like a guy ready to dominate football's biggest stage. Then there's Matheus Cunha. Every World Cup throws up a surprise hero, someone who shows up without huge expectations and suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. That player might just be Cunha. After starting the tournament on the bench against Morocco, nobody expected him to flip Brazil's whole attack. But Ancelotti believed, and Cunha repaid that faith immediately. 3 goals in just 2 starts. Every finish different, every movement smart. His game isn't built on raw muscle, it's built on instinct. He drifts, he presses, he links the midfield to the attack, then suddenly, out of nowhere, he's standing right inside the box, exactly where goals get scored. That unpredictability makes Brazil brutally hard to defend, because nobody knows who to mark anymore. Vinicius stretches the left, Rafinha attacks the right, Paquetá arrives late, Bruno creates, and Cunha just appears from nowhere. That's not luck, that's coaching. Speaking of Bruno Guimarães, he might quietly be Brazil's most important player on the entire pitch. The headlines go to the scorers, but every great team has someone controlling the rhythm, someone who decides when the game speeds up and when it slows down. That's Bruno. 3 assists in 3 matches, the tournament's leading creator. Against Scotland, he dished out 2 assists in 1 match, the first Brazilian since Kaká to pull that off at a World Cup. But stats barely scratch the surface of his influence, his vision, his passing range, his reading of the game between the lines. Every dangerous Brazilian attack seems to start with him. Beside him, Lucas Paquetá brings something just as valuable: balance. He runs, he presses, he wins the ball back. Then moments later, he's bursting into the box. His assist against Haiti was just one small glimpse of the invisible work he does every single match. Documentaries rarely celebrate players like Paquetá. Managers do, because they know exactly how hard that job really is. And then there's Casemiro, 34 years old, written off by plenty, questioned hard after rough. 2023 to 2024 seasons. But real leaders don't disappear, they respond. Ancelotti's tactical switch gave Casemiro a whole new life. No longer splitting defensive duty, no longer stuck between 2 roles, he became the lone shield, breaking up attacks, winning duels, protecting the back 4, freeing everyone in front of him to attack fearlessly. Sometimes experience doesn't slow a team down, it holds the whole thing together. Behind him sits a defensive duo quietly becoming one of the tournament's strongest, Gabriel and Marquinhos. One brings raw, physical dominance, the other brings cool, calm leadership. Together, they've built the platform letting Brazil's stars go off. Gabriel's been exceptional, winning headers, stepping into midfield with total confidence, firing progressive passes that launch attacks instantly. Marquinhos organizes everything around him, every defensive line, every offside trap, every moment of pressure. He talks, everybody listens, and when mistakes do happen, there's one final wall of protection: Alisson Becker. Goalkeepers rarely make headlines unless they mess up. That's the brutal reality of the position. But Brazil know exactly how vital Alisson has been. Against Morocco, he made huge saves that kept Brazil alive. Against Haiti, he protected the clean sheet with a magnificent reaction stop. Against Scotland, he denied Scott McTominay right when the match threatened to get uncomfortable. The greatest keepers don't pull off spectacular saves every minute. They make the one save that changes everything. That's Alisson. Then look around the rest of this squad. Neymar, finally back. No, longer carrying the whole nation on his back. Returning instead as a battle-tested leader who can flip games off the bench. Endrick, still a teenager, already fearless. Rayan bursting with swagger after announcing himself on the biggest stage in the sport. Martinelli, Rafinha, Igor Thiago, every single substitution keeps Brazil's intensity at full throttle. Every player knows their job. For the first time in ages, Brazil don't lean on just one superstar. They lean on an entire football family. And maybe that's exactly what makes them so dangerous, because the teams that usually win World Cups aren't always the most talented ones. They're the most connected. France knows it. Spain knows it. Argentina proved it 4 years ago. Now Brazil are starting to look exactly like that kind of team. A team willing to suffer together, celebrate together, defend together, attack together. The group stage is done. 7 points. Top of Group C, 6 goals scored, 1 conceded, 2 straight clean sheets, momentum, confidence, belief. But this is where the real World Cup begins. The knockout rounds don't forgive a single mistake, one bad night, one defensive slip, one missed chance, and 4 years of dreams vanish forever. The opponents get tougher, the pressure gets heavier, the stadiums get louder, every pass, every tackle, every decision will carry the weight of an entire nation on it. And yet, watching this Brazil team right now feels different. Not because they're flawless, not because they'll win every single game, but because for the first time in years, they've got everything a true champion needs: a clear identity, a world-class manager, players playing with confidence instead of fear, and belief that just keeps growing stronger with every win. Maybe that's the real nightmare for the rest of the world. This isn't the same Brazil anymore. This isn't a team stuck living in the shadow of its own past. This is a new generation guided by one of football's greatest minds. And if Carlo Ancelotti keeps pulling the best out of this incredible squad, the road to lifting that World Cup trophy might run straight through Brazil once again. Because when Brazilian talent meets tactical genius, football history has a brutal habit of repeating itself. And maybe that sixth star isn't just a fantasy anymore. It's becoming a real possibility.